With all the automotive industry going into the electric models, today George and Pablo has given us the 2022 Kia Niro EV front-wheel drive in your snow white pearl here at Regal Kia in Lakeland, Florida. Updates are going to have wireless connectivity. That's going to be standard. Updates in the cabin, standard safety. This is going to share the same electric drivetrain with the Hyundai Kona Electric. This is definitely going to compare against your Nissan Leaf and your Chevrolet Bolt EV. And throughout the review, I'm going to do a comparison to see which one might be more onto your to-do list of purchasing if you're looking for a full electric vehicle. I'm Anthony from Hawkeye Rides, and we're going to go over all the specs and details starting now. The Kia Niro EV is definitely going to have that electrifying look, especially with the grille, how it's all closed off for the tiger nose grille. I like that they still give the diamonds and they give that indication so that way you keep the signature look with the new Kia badging. Charging very easy, just open up right here in the front. The best part about it is they go a little bit more playful because you got the blue on the lower trim and also on the fog lamp assembly with the matte black underneath here as well. So it does set a nice appearance, and the aerodynamic structural lines just flow really smoothly on the short hood. The width at 71.1 inches, which is the wider of the three, the height of 61.4 inches. The Bolt will be the tallest of the three. Ground clearance at 6.1 inches. The best part about this is your charging. So if you do a 50 kilowatt DC fast charging up to 80%, between 60 to 90 minutes, 100 miles, you can get it done in 30 minutes. So it's the same as the Bolt. For the Nissan Leaf, however, a quick charge up to 80% is 45 to 60 minutes. So just something to take in consideration. And the line structures that go over the shorter hood, I wish there was some storage underneath it, but it is what it is, and it does kind of sort of flare out the fenders in the front with 17-inch aluminum alloy wheels, the disc reading at 12 inches, ventilated in the front, 11.8 inches solid in the rear. Regenerative braking with steering wheel mounts that make it more aggressive or less, a McPherson strut front suspension, a multi-link rear suspension. Both the front and the rear will have your stabilizer bar. The length at 172.2 inches, which is pretty much spot on with the Nissan and the Chevrolet, give or take an inch here and there. Wheelbase at 106.3 inches. The zero emissions really do scream on the side because you do have just a few line structures, and you got some black here on the lower trim of the door seals, blacked out across all of the window trims except for the back end, which gives an indication of that electric look, which I do like that because it just kind of makes it pop a little bit. So whenever you're looking in a parking lot and you see that, you would know, hey, this is a zero emission car. Your roof rails, you're going to have them with the silver, and it does give a good contrast to the vehicle, especially with this snow white. I wish the fenders were the same color as the body paint. I like the pinstripe line, but if that was there, I think it would just set it off a little bit more. With the piano black spoiler lip, you're going to have the same color shark fin as the car, which definitely gives a good indication that they're paying attention to detail with this zero emissions vehicle. I like the Niro badging and the new Kia logo in the back. I also like that they went back with the playful look with the blue on the lower area. So it almost looks like there would be exhaust the way these kind of flare out a little bit. I don't necessarily like that because it's a zero emission. We really don't need to have anything that looks like exhaust. However, it gives a sporty look. So that is something that is kind of cool because that's what Kia is going for. A performance style vehicle, and this is fully electric. So you got to put the two together. Go inside to your cargo at 18.5 cubic feet, which is more than the Bolt. There's storage underneath the floor with a spare tire, 12-volt charger. The rear bench split folds at a 60-40 split, maxing the cargo to 53 cubic feet, which is more than the Nissan. The Kia Niro EV backs the performance with a 64 kilowatt battery pack. That's going to have a bigger battery than the Nissan, a touch smaller than the Chevrolet Bolt EV, producing 201 horsepower, 291 pound-feet of torque. You will get a charge with the level 2 at 9 hours and 35 minutes. You will have the most power underneath. Comparing it to the 3, you will get the better 0 to 60 at 6.2 seconds, a full range at 239 miles, and 123 to 102 mpges, which is better than the Nissan Leaf, just a touch smaller or less than the Chevrolet Bolt EV, but you got to look at it in different perspective. Whenever you're talking about maybe a mile or two less, or even if it's 5 or 10, at the end of the day, that 0 to 60 is going to get you to work quicker if you're running late. Just something to think about. Let me know in the comments what you think about the 2022 Kia Niro EV. As we go into the interior, go over the tech, and take this for our test run. Entering inside the Kia Niro EV. It's going to be super quiet because it's electric at a sit still. We'll see how it is on the drive. Headroom at 40.1 inches of headroom. Legroom, 41.7 inches. It's going to be less than the Nissan and the Chevrolet. However, you can see the seat. You have a lot of room. I actually moved it back a little bit further than I would normally sit. It's going to have the charcoal. It's going to be a cloth and Syntec seat mixture, 10-way power adjustment for the driver. You're going to have a 4-way manual for the passenger. I do like the retro styling that they're doing. You got the piping, you got the contrast stitching, and it just really looks energetic. And I think that's really what we're looking at when we're trying to get a vehicle other than a Tesla. I know that's the first time I said it this whole review, but realistically speaking, I like to compare this to other vehicles only because of the fact that these are upcoming vehicles to get to the Tesla line. This is not going to obviously be as comparable as a Tesla. As for the dash, it's very simple. I like that we have the eco-electric on the passenger side. You got the metal look that just wraps around the whole bottom, and you got the gloss piano black inlays over it with a little bit of a pattern structure, and you got the aluminum look for the interior of your air vent. So they do pay attention to detail. I do like the 10.25 UVO infotainment system because it sits flush inside there. It looks like they actually made the cabin specifically for this infotainment. We have the navigation, so you have the pinch, you have the swipe. This has your Sirius XM, this has your UVO app. You're going to get 1 year service, Bluetooth connectivity, AM, FM, dual climate control settings. Another nice thing about this vehicle is in this, you can click there and you have another screen that you can just toggle through different settings and whatnot and pretty much see everything you need. So if you really want to see your battery consumption and range left, you could put it right there and everyone in the cabin can see it. Pretty cool little thing. Now, in this area here, it's a little bit different than most EV vehicles, and this is kind of going with a lot of the SUV segment or hatchback segment. So you have all your button functionality here, a wireless charging pad, USB ports, a 12 volt, some storage tray here. You got your rotary knob for your drive, reverse, neutral, push to park, auto hold, so you're getting some luxury amenities, standard heated front seats, driving mode select. Open this by pushing it. A nice thing, when you push these, it opens up to give you more capacity, or you can just fit a 2-liter if you need. But I put the cup here so you can see that you can fit a 16.9 ounce water bottle without any issues. Pretty much about a 32 is going to be really at max. But the nice thing is you can open this up and it clicks and it unclicks, so that way you can fit that bottle. Open up in here, more storage with a USB charging port as well. As for the elbows, it's going to be a little bit harder on this side here, but it has a little bit of a sponge feel. It's just, there's not a lot of padding. There is more on the door panel. So on the door panel, you'll get the gloss piano black around the door handle, one touch up and down for the front windows. I do like the fact that we got the contrast stitching. It's a lot more harder surfaces on the top of the door panel, on the lower trim as well, fitting about 2 to 3 16.9 ounce water bottles. The steering wheel, leather wrap, you'll get the cross stitch. The paddle shifters will engage to make it more aggressive for the regenerative braking or make it a little bit less. Multifunction, the gauge cluster is a 7-inch color supervisor monitor cluster. That's what they read it at. And it does give you an array of information, pretty much everything that you need for an electric vehicle, plus your navigation, plus all the capacity that you would need for any type of traveling or anything like that. We don't have any moonroof. You do have your UVO button right here, which will call for any type of help or assistance. So it does have pretty much all the bells and whistles, and it's not so driver focused, so it's more open and playful for everybody. Let's see how the back seats look. For the back seats, I'm at 37.7 inches of headroom, which is more than Nissan, 36 inches of legroom, which is about the same as the Chevy Bolt EV. What I did notice, though, jumping into the back seat, the cushion is a lot less than the front. You will have storage behind the passenger seat, not behind the driver. You have some air vents in the center. The floor is not completely flat. As for elbows, it's going to be super soft on both sides, which I wish the seat was a little bit more soft, because in the Nissan and the Chevrolet Bolt EV, it was a little bit more soft. Cup holders, you can easily fit a max 20 ounces, a 16.9 ounce water bottle. On that door panel, the same segment comes in, harder materials on the top and bottom. You get the gloss piano black, and storage, only one flask or a 16.9 ounce water bottle is pretty much the gist of it. It does have a bit of a width to the seats, so let's see how I look in the center. Sitting into the center, headroom no problem, leg rooms no problems. I'm blocking the center vents, so it's going to make it a little bit more cool for me, a little bit less for the guys next to me. As I was saying, for buttock space, I should be pretty fine. The shoulder space is really going to be the issue, because the car isn't so wide, so it's going to be a little tight for 3 people to fit my dimensions in the rear. If you're only fitting 2 in the back, you can just sit back, relax, and enjoy a fully electric vehicle without any emissions. Taking the 2022 Kia Niro EV out for our test run. When you're driving at a low speed, you're going to hear that futuristic electric noise. When you use the paddle shifters, it will go to a level 3, which is for regenerative brake, and you can lower that and it will make it where you can actually drive. So I do like that, because you have the paddle shifters. You know what? Might as well use both of them and give it to a different level of perspective for the driver, so that way you don't have to click a D button or this or that. It kind of cleans up the area in the center console, and it doesn't give you too much cluster. So I like that, because these are already on the steering wheel. The best part about it, though, is the 0 to 60 is ever so quick on the vehicle. I mean, the low 6 seconds is what you're getting, and we're going to see really how it is. We're going to put it into a sport mode. Right now it's on eco, now we're on sport. So we're going to see how it is on an off the line hit. At about 9 miles, giving it full electric. You know, every time I do a review, I'm sure you have already noticed, I always laugh, and the reason why is because you're not expecting that much excitement out of it. And I like the fact that I can take that regenerative braking off if I want. Braking otherwise, if I need to brake hard, I can do so and still charge up the battery. So that way, I don't have to use that level 1, 2, and 3, just leave it on 0. Turn radius at more or less a stop point is going to get you about 2 lanes, giving it the electric, and it just rock and rolls. Now, one thing to know, when you're doing this, you're not going to be getting the best MPGE. So just remember that you will be hitting the regenerative braking, which it shows you the charging. When you push it, it will show you the power. So I do like that, because it just keeps that futuristic looking in the gauge cluster. As for visibility, I can see everything really well. The windscreen, the way it's positioned, it almost feels like an SUV, like a hatchback. So what they're doing with this segment, it really does have a different appearance, especially if you're comparing it against the Nissan Leaf and comparing against the Chevrolet Bolt EV. Because the way those sit, the Nissan Leaf sits more like a sedan, this one sits up higher, and the Chevrolet Bolt EV, the way it sits, it's a little bit more bubbly. But for the width, it feels smaller inside. They do maximize the storage space, so I do like that. And I've noticed that you have to constantly push the electric pedal. It's not something that it just kind of stays and engages. It feels like you're constantly giving it energy, whereas in a gas power vehicle, it doesn't necessarily have that same vibe. As for dynamics, I mean, it's not necessarily meant for that, but it does pretty decent job. Low 6 seconds 0 to 60 though, that's definitely where it's at, so I do like that. And I like the fact that it isn't ultrally long, because you can just turn without too many issues. You do have blind spot monitoring. A little bit of blind spot, I would say, is into the rear, especially around where that chrome area was. Almost a stop point, giving it some gas or electric. Full range of power is what it's saying. Now we're going to put it level 3, and you can see what I mean. It literally just kind of hugs you, and I'm charging at like a 60% charge rate. At least 50 to 60% is what it's showing, so that is super cool. And if I drive with the regenerative braking on, I'm actually charging with a 2-tier bar and not doing anything at all. So that is pretty spot on. You will hear the regenerative braking though. It makes a ooh noise. We're gonna just stop here in the middle of the road so that way you can see, and then give it, you know, it's a little wet outside, so it makes it a little bit, you know, harder to get off the line, but the thing really is a moving machine. Now there is 3 things I like and 3 things that I dislike, because anything more than that, I'd be buying this vehicle. The 3 things that I like is how playful they did with the design. They really did keep the whole image of the outside and even the inside. It just feels hip and lively. I like what they're doing with that. The second thing that I like is the suspension. It's very smooth. You don't really hear as much road noise as other people were complaining about in the reviewing. I don't hear that much, just really through the wheel well area. We don't have any dual pane windows on the side, and realistically, I don't hear that much wind. The third thing that I like is the fact that you can use these paddle shifters on a 3-tier and a complete 0-tier, which makes it even more easy and eco-friendly if you want it to be, or more friendly when you want to push that throttle. I've put it in eco mode, level 3, and the pedal is extremely heavy. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to change it to normal. Wow, normal really just all of a sudden just changed the whole dynamic. Sport, whoa. Huge difference whenever you're going through these modes. I would recommend maybe a level 1 for the regenerative on the paddle shift. Level 2 gets pretty aggressive, and level 3 pretty much stops you and you hear that whoa. 3 things that I dislike about the vehicle: a lot of hard materials all over the cabin, and it's just a little disappointing in that category because of the price point. We're around $40,000. The second thing that I dislike about the vehicle is on the exterior. For the side profile, it doesn't really give me so much of an electric vibe as the Bolt or even the Nissan Leaf. I feel the playfulness was a little bit taken out and more structured for a crossover look, which is fine. It's just when you get into these vehicles, you really want to have some of that, you know, look and hipness on the exterior on all 4 corners. The third thing that I dislike about the vehicle is in the back seats. It is really firm in the seat cushioning. As for the width and length, you can get in and out of anything quickly, and that's something that's good, especially for an EV car. It doesn't feel overly long. Looking through it in the rear view, you can see everything because the window in the rear is really large. I'd like to thank George and Pablo here at Regal Kia in Lakeland, Florida for giving us this 2022 Kia Niro EV for our car review. If you're already a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Hawkeye community. If not, click that subscribe button, check out the details, the merchandise, and everything we do here at Hawkeye Rides.